Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this special transmission on PTV World, where we are highlighting and detailing the visit of our Premier Shehbaz Sharif Sahab to the People's Republic of China in the invitation of his counterpart from the Chinese side, Excellency Li Keqiang. Now, speaking of Mr. Li Keqiang, today was a very busy day for our Premier. He had many important meetings, including with his Chinese counterpart, Excellency Li Keqiang. Before that, he also met with Mr. Xi Jinping, the president of the People's Republic of China. He also met with Chinese investors. The main emphasis of all of these meetings were strengthening the economy and economic relations between Pakistan and China, including China-Pakistan economic corridors, the loopholes that are present in this mega project. They were discussed in detail, ways to move forward, ways to strengthen this phase of the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and also trying to diffuse all tensions or all issues that pertain to the China-Pakistan economic corridor and other economic projects that the Chinese side are involved in Pakistan. He also, when talking to Chinese investors, accepted the invitation to invest in mega projects including Karachi clean drinking water project. This was and of course an okay that was given by the Chinese side, by the Chinese investors during the meeting with our Premier Shehbaz Sharif Sahab. He also, our Premier also invited the Chinese companies to come and visit Pakistan and invest in Pakistan, and offered them to jointly work on initiatives of generating 10,000 megawatts of electricity through solar power. Clean and green energy, of course, is one of the major topics of discussion between the Pakistan and Chinese side. Sangeen Khan, analyst, joins us online. Sangeen, thank you very much to have joined us. Sangeen, today has been a very busy day for our Premier and his entourage, and important meetings have been held with the Chinese President, the Chinese Premier, as well as Chinese investors. What outcome do you see of these important meetings and of interactions of our side with the Chinese side?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. Yes, absolutely. It was one of the most important visits, and the timing of this visit was very much important because it is taking place at a time when the President Xi has been re-elected as the General Secretary and the President of China. So it is unprecedented. Now, how important, what would be the outcome of this visit that merits immediate attention? First of all, back in the past, very unfortunately, the CPEC had the economic activities, or for that matter, CPEC has witnessed some slowdown. So, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, in his very first official visit, prior to his departure to China, he said the main focus would be the revitalization of the CPEC. So there have been statements coming out from the Foreign Ministry as well that Prime Minister has discussed about the revitalization of CPEC projects, about the investments, and the Prime Minister then encouraged the Chinese delegation to visit and to invest more on China. And the Prime Minister, and it is expected because there has been deep concern in the Chinese side about security. Now, the loopholes have been addressed. Particularly, our armed forces have addressed those loopholes, especially the two divisions have been raised. So the Prime Minister has ensured the Chinese delegation or the leadership about the security concerns, because that has been a concern from the Chinese side. So I think two main stands: first, about the revitalization of the CPEC projects. Secondly, the encouragement of the Chinese, investors to come and visit, Pakistan and invest. So, very importantly, there has been this slow in economic activities. So, let's expect and we hope that the slowdown economic activities, particularly the second phase of CPEC, that would be expedited.
All right, Sangeen, also, the Prime Minister has assured the Chinese side that the outstanding payments have been paid in full to the Chinese companies, and now that there are no dues, that the Chinese side should come forward and work and invest as much as they can as far as the Pakistani side is concerned. Many important projects were discussed, including the Dasu project, the Diamir Bhasha Dam project, the Dasu hydropower project, and also the investment in clean and green energy. This is something that our Premier is quite invested in. Welcome back, and taking our discussion forward on the very important day of important meetings between the Pakistani and the Chinese side. As usual, we were talking to Sangeen Khan, who's an analyst online, but also in the studios. We've been joined by Yasir Masood, who's a foreign affairs specialist as well. Yasir, thank you very much to have joined us, to have come to the studios. But of course, before we come to Yasir, let's continue with what we were saying with Sangeen. And of course, Sangeen, we were discussing, the importance of this visit to China and the whole timing of this whole visit, whether it be the floods in Pakistan, whether it be the issues that are geostrategic or geopolitical in nature that plague this region from Afghanistan to India to Ukraine and Russia war, and of course, the further stability of relations between the two countries, and of course economy, that is a very important factor that is being discussed everywhere in these meetings. What kind of outcome do you expect from this visit to China?
As discussed earlier, the timing of this visit is very much important because this visit is taking place at a time of the evolving geostrategic environment that is at regional level and at the global level. We see at the regional level, Pakistan and China have been, doing their best to ensure peace in the region. Specifically, I think Afghanistan would be one of the aspects that might be discussed because peace, stability, tranquility in Afghanistan is in the common denominator of each one of the countries. So I think Afghanistan is one of the aspects that could be discussed. And I think behind the scenes, Pakistan and China can discuss whether or not what efforts are being made for the recognition of the Taliban government. But again, there are solutions of the UN Security Council resolutions 2593 and 2615 resolutions. So let's see how China plays its role, for the Taliban, especially in the humanitarian assistance. Since China is the permanent member of United Nations Security Council, and maybe another aspect, I think that is the global environment, because since the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visit to Taiwan, ever since then China and United States have been experiencing very tense relationship. So in that context, how Pakistan is very much cautious in that regard. So as far as
there are many important variables to, of course, the relationship and the geostrategic or geopolitical environment in which both the sides are meeting. I think this meeting is very important between both the sides, whether it be with the Premier, with the President, or with the investors, to further strengthen that relationship, because this is the time when Pakistan needs to see who is there for the country to further not only economically stabilize our country, but also to strengthen the region, because there are a lot of issues that pertain to this region as well, and we all know what those issues are. Yasir Masood joins us in the studio. Yasir, we've been discussing more or less in detail about the economic aspect of this visit and how China-Pakistan economic corridor is being highlighted as far as this visit is concerned. In all the important meetings, different aspects of the CPEC have been highlighted. Also, other issues have been discussed, from defense to political, but economy kind of reigns supreme. Do you feel that this is extremely paramount for a country like Pakistan under the current circumstances that Pakistan is engulfed in?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, thank you, Umar, for having me on the show. I think if we talk about this, visit, I think it came at a very critical juncture. And why? Because we have seen, since 2018 onwards, that there was, we have seen a bit of slow growth, in terms of the completion of different CPEC projects. And I think we need friends at this point, because as you know that we have been from this, suffered from this catastrophe of floods, and we are still suffering from the climate changes as well. So as you just mentioned now, that we need to see that who is standing with us at this critical juncture in these tantalizing times. So, and why I see this is a very paramount important visit, because CPEC, we always believe that it's a harbinger of hope. It's a ray of hope for Pakistan, because developing state like Pakistan needs support of China who has got expertise in how to uplift the developing states like Pakistan. If we look back from 2013 to 2018, see, we have plugged in around 5,000 megawatt, and we were going through a very critical time of energy shortfalls. We have developed 1,000 kilometers of highways and motorways. We have worked on Gwadar port. We dedicated around 19 projects to Gwadar, including others. We have worked on the cable lines, and we came up with different infrastructure and energy projects. But phase 2, as we call it, because if we see the whole basket of CPEC, it was divided into different phases. So that was the first phase, which was done and dusted in 2018. Now we are already entered into second phase.
True.
Second phase is very important because mainly it focuses on the socio-economic development. And if we see in 20th National Congress, President Xi Jinping was given the status of Secretary of the State again. And
Third
why?
time.
Third time. And why? The reason being is that the Chinese people are very happy with the governance of President Xi Jinping. 800 million people are being lifted out of poverty and being included in the middle class status. They have been given the middle class status. And not only that, now the Chinese governance and the governing system is actually working on how to make it more sustainable, how to make the livelihoods of the people more sustainable. And that is the reality, or which gives a sort of hope or the popularity of any leadership, how to give a roadmap, how to bring prosperity amongst the common people. And that is something we can achieve out of CPEC when we talk about socio-economic development. And we have number of potentials, we are full of potentials, but unfortunately even up till now we couldn't work on them. Let's, for example, we are blessed with 1,000 kilometer of coastal line. So, and there is a concept of blue economy. 80 to 90% of trade growth or trade routes are sea routes, and we are blessed with that. Even if we talk about Gwadar or elsewhere in Karachi. We haven't worked on coastal tourism in Balochistan. We haven't worked on our tourism in GB and elsewhere in Pakistan. That is the one aspect. And there are many, like we shall work on the low hanging fruit first. And the low hanging fruit, which I personally see, is the human resource development. Pakistan is the youngest population under the sun.
And China is in need of human resource.
Absolutely. So if, what happens in Pakistan is, yes, students are educated, but what they lack, they lack the technical education system.
Or training for avenues where they could be lucrative as far as their future
Absolutely. And that is the Chinese recipe. A graduate in Pakistan or a student who is done with the master degree, the first thing which will strike in their mind would be where to find work. They start job hunting. So instead of job hunting, they can be their own bosses. They can come up with innovative ideas. And Pakistan, as we see, I still believe it's a virgin economy. It's a barren economy. There is so much potential. There is so much can be done. Untapped potential. There could be hundreds of startups which could be initiated in Pakistan.
I think small and medium industries is of course the future for Pakistan, and also entrepreneurship that is slowly and steadily getting a very important place in our society. Nevertheless, one of the important points that our Premier discussed while talking to Chinese investors was clean and green energy. He talked about the Gwadar airport. He requested the Chinese companies to come visit Pakistan, and if they find Pakistan lucrative, to come and invest. And also he talked about the 10,000 megawatts electricity generation through clean and green energy. Now the emphasis on clean energy is quite evident in the last few weeks and months since this government took power, and also during this visit. Do you feel the future of energy production in Pakistan lies in clean and green energy?
It's a very important question because as I just mentioned, that we are still suffering from the climate change, catastrophes or the implications. And Pakistan's share globally, the carbon emission share is only 0.01%. and still the developing states like Pakistan are suffering, and these gigantic and big economies, they are not helping countries like Pakistan, and they must help because it's their moral liability as well, because those Western countries have actually they were industrialized, they got their all the progress and prosperity because of industrialization, and we have we are just taking the baby steps as far as industrialization is concerned. Yes, clean and green energy is very efficient, and China is working on that. Their own target by 2030 is to lessen the carbon emission as much as possible. Yes, I think Pakistan is already working on clean and green energy under the ambit of CPAC, and emphasis is quite right, because nevertheless, if we want to lessen the implications of the climate change, definitely we will have to go through to generate the clean and green energy in Pakistan, which is more sustainable. Obviously, West is working on that, but I think it's not only China. West should also help Pakistan, that how to, they should also come up with different projects.
But that only time will tell how much the West will be investing in Pakistan. We've seen a lot of help and aid coming from the Western countries, especially post the floods. But a long-term strategic engagement, a long-term economic engagement, that only time will tell. But China has always been there for us, Yasir, in the good times and the bad times. And that is what I'm going to ask my guest online, Sangeen. When we talk of Chinese investment in Pakistan, we can not discard the incidents that have occurred on the Chinese workers in the past few years. Now the the Pakistani Prime Minister has assured China of the best possible security arrangement for Chinese workers. Do you feel, in your point of view, Sangeen, that the Chinese still have some kind of apprehensions as far as their workers in Pakistan are concerned? And of course, do you feel that Pakistan needs to follow this up with concrete measures? What's your take on that?
Well, absolutely. This is very much important question, because this is one of the concern and heritage about Chinese, because Chinese are very much sensitive when it comes to security aspects, because back in the past, this was the concern about the Chinese safety, where the armed forces raised two divisions of their security, Special Security Division and ComWest. Both Pakistan Army and Pakistan Navy are, combined, providing security to Chinese workers and engineers. However, with the recent visit of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, he has ensured that the protection, safety of the Chinese workers would be the priority of this government. Yes, this is the first step that will lead to confidence building there, and this will encourage the Chinese to come back to invest. And another important aspect besides the security, that is the political stability. You cannot ignore that, because political stability is going to invite the foreign direct investment. So these both aspects go parallel to each other. So yes, I do believe Chinese are very much confident the steps taken by this government, especially in the security aspects. So I'm very much confident the steps being taken by the Pakistan Army and Pakistan Navy collectively to address the security aspects of the China. But importantly, what's really needed is the consistency. We have the best of the best policies intact, but I think that needs the follow-up. Follow-up is very much important, so that no nefarious element not quite the fault line.
All right, Sangeen, also, China has been there, has helped Pakistan immensely after the flood devastation. It was one of the first to arrive with aid for Pakistan and the Pakistani people in need. In your point of view, in the coming months and years, because the rehabilitation, the restructuring of all the buildings that have been devastated by the flood is going to take a long time. It's not going to happen in a few weeks or a few months' time. Do you feel China can further extend help as far as technical, logistical areas of restructuring or rehabilitation is concerned, or of that of human capital is concerned, to expedite post-disaster flood relief?
Very important. There's no doubt. China has always stood by Pakistan in every condition, be it whether that is a precarious economic situation, flood disaster, everything. China has been there for Pakistan. Yes, absolutely. Pakistan has already requested, and China has, warmly reciprocated to Pakistan. What we can expect from China, because they are good at, they have got various technologies. Those technologies would be helpful to us to determine in order to mitigate the potential impacts of the disaster. This is one of the aspects. In other way to look at this, China could help Pakistan in the rehabilitation process, because we know millions of people at the moment are out of home. They have been, the recent flooding had devastated. And another important aspect, Pakistan has been telling the world community, Pakistan contributes less than 1% of the greenhouse gases. But unfortunately, Pakistan has suffering the brunt. So I think Pakistan has been very quick enough to convey to the international community, to the big power, especially to our friend China, that Pakistan contributes very meager, less than 1% of the greenhouse gases, but it suffers the most of it. So this is one of the areas: climate change, natural disasters, and especially population control. So there are various aspects where China can help Pakistan in order to mitigate the future potential threats.
Well, it has already been helping Pakistan on many fronts, but I was just trying to ascertain how China could help Pakistan post this huge economic crisis that Pakistan is dealing with post the floods and due to the floods. Yasir, China's President Xi Jinping says that he will support Pakistan in stabilizing its financial situation. In your point of view, what kind of role can China play to give stability, to stabilize Pakistan economically? And of course, there are so many challenges, internal and external, that Pakistan is facing as we speak, whether it be energy crisis, Ukraine war, we've talked about it, global economic meltdown. Can China be that friend in need that can put Pakistan back on its feet? Because the floods have really had a very huge impact as far as the Pakistani economic situation is concerned.
Very important question, Omar, and it's beyond any shadow of a doubt that we are still, we are actually taken aback as far as this disaster is concerned. And it has considerably, damaged our economic structure and system. And as we know that we have already been, in hot waters as far as our economic and financial situation is concerned. China has always stood by, Pakistan in terms of, we have in our highs and lows, in our difficult times, in our tantalizing times. So I think their vision is different, and their vision is actually it's the replica of the same what Chinese think about themselves, that you don't have to give a fish, you have to teach someone how to catch a fish. So they want to make Pakistan, and they want to
self-reliant,
see a more sustainable economy where Pakistan is self-reliant. Because if we see this vicious cycle of borrowing, Pakistan has been doing that for the last many years, since 1988. And Pakistan has been borrowing. Then Pakistan had these liabilities to pay back with interest rates. Now I would give you an example that how flexible the CPEC projects are, that the repayment schedule is, it has been structured in a way that Pakistan has to give back in 25 to 30 years, and with an interest rate of just 2% or something. And we have been, giving our loans on much higher interest rate. So yes, I think they will help Pakistan to make it more sustainable economy, and we have already blessed with so many resources.
That is so true. Another thing related also to economy and the floods is Pakistan's bid for climate justice. This is what has been said, that Pakistan wants climate justice for itself and for other developing countries that have been affected by the floods. Do you feel China can also help there because it is a major global power, it has a say in all the important organizations?
Absolutely, China is a veto power, and we have seen, there are many examples where China has stood for Pakistan internationally, globally, on different podiums, on different platforms. Yet again, why China would support Pakistan? Because remember that China is also suffering, and China can also be a victim of climate change.
Well, that any country could, we've seen that
Could
in the
be,
US as well.
but right now what we see is that for some reason, the implications are most in Asian countries, including Pakistan, Afghanistan, this whole region, including China.
True.
So obviously, this is also in the interest of China, and I don't think so that they won't take any stance for Pakistan
Of course, I think
internationally.
I'm sure that they will, but only time will tell how much the other countries are also willing to listen to China
That's right.
and to listen to Pakistan. There's a lot of bloc formation across the world as we see, and a lot of tensions that emanate between the West and China as well as we speak. But we'll talk about that on another day. For the moment, we're a bit short of time. Yasir, Masood, thank you very much to have joined us. Sangeen Khan, thank you very much to have come to our show after a long time. It was definitely worth the wait, and thank you so much for all the input that both of you guests have given as far as this show is concerned. The visit of our Premier Shehbaz Sharif Sahab along with his entourage continues. A lot of important agreements and MOUs are expected to be signed. A lot of important decisions regarding the future of this relationship, and of course with reference to economy, will also be put on the forefront, and that is what we expect to see in the coming hours, or maybe by tomorrow evening. Till then, I bid you farewell, and of course we'll be continuing our coverage of our Premier's visit to China during this whole day and also tomorrow. So till then, stay tuned right here to PTV World. Allah Hafiz.